What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Dragoncast. My name is Brian Daniels. I'm back once again with my podcasting partner in crime, Victor Salazar. Victor, how the hell are you doing today, man? How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, Brian? This morning, man, just rolled out of bed, man. It's so early in the morning. We're doing a pretty, is it still dark out? I think it's still dark out.
Over there it is, yeah.
When you get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to do a podcast, and you're ready to go, it's like, dude, did you even sleep? What's going on,
Yeah, man.
But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Feeling good, feeling great, just trying to get out of this damn heat, as I've been complaining since forever.
Dude,
100+ degree weather sucks. But,
Ooh.
But yeah, I'm still breathing, so I can't complain. So we're good,
man. Well, today on the show, Victor, we got some very special guests to come on our show here and take some time to be here with us today. We got Dorrington and Mark Schult, and these guys are top Galaga players, both of which hold world records in Galaga, and they've decided to join us here on the Dragoncast today to talk about Galaga.
Hey, nice.
They got a little
greatest game of all time.
It is the greatest game of all time. I agree, man. Yeah, man.
Hey, welcome, guys. Welcome.
I agree. Welcome, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you so much. Man. Yes.
So we got Jordan here. He's coming to us all the way from Iowa, a state that everybody forgets is part of the country. And
Yell in the back, right?
Man. Yeah, man. And we got Mark Schult down here, and he's coming to us from Indiana, such as myself. He's up in the northern part, though. He's all the way up north. I'm all the way down south. So welcome, guys. So let's just jump right into this, man. First off, Mark, I love the background, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I really expected you guys to show off your love of Galaga in some way for everybody who's going to be watching this. So guys, let's just get into this, man. So Mark, tell me, or guys, just whoever wants to answer this, tell me why Galaga? How did you guys get into this amazing game that I know the three of us love very much? Where did you and Victor? Yeah.
I was wondering if Jordan or Mark is doing this forcefully, but it's all good.
But tell me how you guys got into this game, man. Like, where did it start, and what got you so into playing it?
Take it away, Mark.
Oh, I think I start the guy with the crazy background here.
There we go.
So I think I got into the game as a kid. So I used to play. I grew up with the Atari 2600. That was the first console we ever had in our home, and I was probably 3 or 4 when I was playing games. And I spent some time at the during the golden age of I was young enough to still remember the golden age of the arcade. When the dark rooms with the machines in them, and so I still remember catching on the tail end of those of that era. So I think I got involved in Galaga. I think it was because we remember this one time we went on a trip. I think we were going to Cedar Point, and I think we ended up staying at this. I think it was a Holodome. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, the Holodomes. That Holiday Inn had these. It was called a Holodome, and they had the swimming pool area. They had an arcade. They had a putt area. So this one that we went to, it was absolutely amazing. It was awesome. So I remember, and Galaga was there, and my dad wasn't really big into into video games. He didn't get it. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, he didn't. I mean, he played a little bit, but he wasn't hardcore gamer type of person.
Yeah.
And so when we went, there was this. Actually, they had a Galaga machine. He was just I was 7 years old at the time, and he loved it. That was one of the few games that he actually liked to play. So that started probably 1987, and then as I got older. I had an NES. That same year I got an NES, and then I had obviously a Super Nintendo, and I played on the PC and stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when the Game Genie came out for the Nintendo, I actually got one, and there's a place in town where you could rent video games, and I remember seeing Galaga. It was the NES version of Galaga. And I remember picking that up. I thought, I remember that game from when we were at the hotel. So I grabbed the game, and I remember with the Game G, I want to see how high the score could go. So I put the
Oh
cheat
man, I was
so I
like,
put
how
the-
old
I-
is using the Game Genie? Yeah.
yeah, so I put that in. I just want to see how far the score would go, and like I was obviously cheating and making him not fire and all those other crap. And so flash forward to like after I graduated from college, and then this is in the 2000s. Galaga was kind of a way for me to unwind because I remember I had an Xbox 360, and Galaga was kind of a way to unwind after a long day. After I graduated, my wife and the kids would go to bed early they go to bed early every evening. And after I was done with school, I kind of twiddled my thumbs. I'm like, I am like bored out of my mind. Like I have all this free time in the evening now. Like this is kind of weird, right? So I spent, I discovered Galaga again. I was like, oh, Galaga's on the Xbox 360. I'll fire it up. And I remember playing every night and trying to memorize patterns and try to look for patterns. I remember there was a pattern to the game. So I was trying to like figure out the game, and I would sit there and I'd get like 100,000, 200,000. I think the highest score I got was like 300,000 when I was playing on my Xbox. And then you flash forward and then like up until like 2017 when the Galaga World Championship was announced. It was the day after Christmas. And I remember Jamie Tibbetts, he's one of the regulars at the Galloping Ghost Arcade. Phenomenal player, by the way. And he posted something to their the Galloping Ghost Facebook page about this tournament, and I looked at my wife. I'm like, man, this would be so cool to play in something like this. I mean, that would just be amazing to do it. I knew who the world record holders were. I knew who were Andrew Laidlaw. I knew Andrew Laidlaw. I've heard of him before because he was on one of the websites online. I knew about his world record. I knew about Phil Day. I know about these guys for a long time. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be so crazy to go to this event and play in person with them? And then I found out that Tim McVeigh was going to be there. And then I found out all these big names and all these people were going to be there. And I was kind of like, this is going to be cool. This could be really, I mean, all these people are going to be there. I've got to do it. I've got to figure out how to get there. So I started, so that January, I spent every single weekend, almost every Saturday and Sunday at the Galloping Ghost Arcade, trying to qualify, trying to break 1 million points. And I just dedicated myself to it. And I got the score high enough, and I got to go. And so that's kind of a long history, or a short history, but like, my history with Galaga started when I was really young. It took a little bit of a break, and then it became more of a focus as I became an adult. And that's when I really got into the game. So that's kind of my background with it.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Story.
I got a quick question for you, Mark, before we jump into Jordan's story.
Yeah.
The wife, the kids, family, supportive? Did they give you crap for spending weekends playing video games? How exactly did you get family life involved with video games? Being a family guy myself, it can be difficult to find that gaming time.
Yeah. So I think I think that's the best thing part of Victor is I had this outpouring of support from so many people. And I hate to go to this, but it was almost like Rudy. I had so many people pulling for me, where I had my coworkers at Notre Dame, all like so many people on campus were like rooting for me. People over in athletics, people over in all the different departments. They were in the OIT. They were rooting for me. And Doc Mack was I would come in and like I'd be the last week of qualifying. I would drive from my house to Chicago. And I did that every single day. And I remember seeing Doc Mack, and Doc was like, you're gonna qualify, you're gonna make it. He's like, don't worry about it, you're gonna make it. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, I'm trying, man. He's like, no, you're gonna do this. And my wife and kids were very, very, very supportive. And I mean, I had a lot of I think that's how I pulled it off. I mean, I couldn't have done it alone. I mean, there's so many when you do big accomplishments like that, and I think Jordan can probably attest to this too. You got to have some kind of support system behind you. If you want to do big things, you got to have people that are going to have your back, that are kind of like anytime that you kind of doubt yourself, and they say you can't do it, you know, if you have the support system, like you can go there, you can go the distance, you can, you know, all these cliche things, you can you know, you can do it. So that's probably the biggest reason why I got to where I was, is because I had so many people supporting me. And even till today, when I got my single ship world record, you know, I had Jordan was like, you're gonna do this. I'm like, and I kept thinking in the back of my mind, like, I'm not, no, I'm probably not. and then Phil Day contacted me. He's like Mark, he's like, I think you got something there. And then Jordan would talk to me, and Phil would talk to me, and other guys, and like, yeah, my wife was like, you're gonna do this. So like, you have to, yeah. So yeah, this just a support system. I think if you have that in place, there's nothing you can't do if you have that with you. So that's just life in general.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love hearing the support stories, you know. It's always someone pushing someone to do better, even when it's friendly rivals, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Right on, Mark. That's awesome, man. Let's get to Jordan, man. Jordan, tell us how you got involved in Galaga, man. Like, how'd you first come across this game and get to be where you're at now, man? You know, world record holder, dude. Marathon and tournament. He's a marathon and tournament world record holder right here, man. Yeah, let's
first
hear it.
of all, I did not grow up in the 80s, so I didn't have a pleasant time with arcades like Mark did. I was a 90s kid.
Yeah, he's a youngin'. He's the youngin'.
Oh, man.
They sucked. Nothing
Got a whippersnapper in here, huh?
But I would just like Mark said, I'd go with my dad to the arcade, and we'd pass by Galaga, and I'd be like, yep, let's go. Let's play this. That was a big thing for us. And I didn't like, you know, I was like maybe 9 or 10 when I would hang out and play Galaga. So it wasn't something that I was like going for a record or anything at that time. I was just trying to beat my dad. And then, and then years later, I'd seen King of Kong. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I looked up what the world record was on Galaga, and it was Andrew Laidlaw had it, just like Mark said. I think everybody knew Andrew Laidlaw's name at the time. So I tried to find Galaga machines. I couldn't find one anywhere, so I kind of gave up again. And then a arcade opened up in our town, a barcade, and that's where I was like, yep, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna play Galaga. And it's funny because right when they opened, they didn't have Galaga. So like,
oh man,
I was mad. I was like, come on, really? So
it's
I
like a
talked to the
staple,
owners,
you know?
he was campaigning for it. Like, please.
Right. I'm like, here we go.
Give me a Galaga, man. Just give me a Galaga. Yeah,
they got it in after about a month of being open. They knew they needed to have that.
They needed it. They knew they needed. Yeah.
Because that was a big game. And so, then I started playing there a lot. That's where I met my wife. It's called the Quarter Barrel.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So
awesome.
I would play there on weekends, and I would practice. And all of a sudden, I realized, like, hey, I'm getting 7 million points on Fast Fire on marathon settings. I'm like, I don't know if anybody else is doing this. So that's when I'd heard about the legendary Mark Schultz, and that's when that's right around when we contacted each other and started talking. That's right when I think Score Wars happened right then, right, Mark? Like right when I met you.
I think Score Wars, it's kind of funny when you talk about that, because like that was, I think I was one of the first people to contact you, because I mean you were playing online, and you were streaming from the Quarter Barrel, and I remember watching, and I knew, and like there was something about Jordan's gameplay that I knew could, just because of all the hours, and just I've watched tons of people play. I've watched Armando play. I've watched John Klinkle play. I've watched all these other players play, and you can tell by how they play if what you showed on the screen was completely adaptable to a slow fire game. So I was like, okay, this guy's gonna be good. I mean, you could tell. I mean, obviously, you could tell you can tell he could play, even though it was fast fire. So, but that was around. I think that was probably a month or two after Score Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this community started to sprout up, and I finally got a machine, and that's when I went hardcore every day, just practicing and getting the basics down, and within a year and a half, boom, all done, taken care of. So got the records.
And now you don't have to play Galaga anymore. You're just done.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Jordan's the guy that doesn't love the game. He just plays to play, huh? Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, man. He's like, I just want to knock this score down, and I'm done. Moving on.
I'm done. It's over.
Right. No, I play every weekend still. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Fortunately, a game for Mark and I can last well over a few hours. So
Yeah.
it's not
Wow,
every
that's
day,
cool.
But,
Yeah.
if I'm feeling dedicated and want to play a big game, I'll sit down and kind of do my best to not faint, pass out, fall asleep, or whatever. So.
No doubt. So tell the fine folks at home, Jordan, where you broke the Galaga record at. This is the best thing ever.
Live in the kitchen, of course.
That's right. Yeah.
Live in the kitchen.
Live in the kitchen.
Live in the kitchen with Jordan, and we're not cooking.
During breaks and stuff. It's fantastic.
That's amazing.
I advise it for anybody who has a Galaga machine to put it right in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
So what was in the newspapers and on the news was I got in the Galaga machine and we were gonna put it downstairs, and my wife was like, "No, we'll never see you again." So,
she's not wrong.
I can make it.
Oh, that's good, man.
That's pretty funny, man.
That's great.
That's pretty great. That's pretty
I
great.
can imagine. I can just imagine that. How you're over in the kitchen, wife's making dinner, and you're over here like, hold on, baby, I got 2 more hours to go. You gotta wait.
That is exactly it.
That's exactly how it played out, huh?
That's exactly it.
I think that would be hard for me because I love food, and having to smell that while trying to focus on a game.
Yeah, right? I might be the same way. I'd be like this, dude. I'd be like this.
I'm like, oh, man, what are you making? Like,
what's going on over there? Yeah.
Well, when I was doing these marathon attempts, I was like, oh, okay, I should get some water in me. Oh, it's 4 feet away. Okay, I need sugar. That's right over here. I got a meal sitting in the fridge for me. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah. Jordan is set up for the marathon run. That's for sure, right? Right in the kitchen. You
he's ready, man. He's got it all set up, man. Yeah,
I guess that'll bring me into this question real quick, Brian.
Yeah,
Jordan, marathon runs, right? So how exactly do you prepare for a long sitting,
Yeah.
How do you get yourself mentally set for that?
It is not a sit down and play game. Mm-hmm. And I realized that quickly because as I was trying to go for these records, at least the marathon, I was going, man, this is you got to get a good night's sleep. You got to have not a party night, so to speak, you know what I mean, just going out and hanging out there. But you got to have you got to be hydrated. That's a big thing because once you pass 10 hours of gameplay, it really takes a toll on you. You got to, like I said, you got to have sugar and you got to have your stomach full. There's a checklist. It became this gigantic checklist of like things that had to happen. I had to make sure the internet was working fine because you cannot play for 4 hours and then be like, internet's
disconnected. Yeah.
You will scream and shout, and you gotta have make sure the cabinet's good and up to par, and the controls are good, and gotta keep that up to date. And there's just so much to it. I mean, it's not just like, hey, I'm gonna play. It's more like, hey, this weekend I'm gonna play and have all these, have this big checklist of what you need. So
he's like, I gotta make a grocery run, and then
right. It turns into like an hour before I start. I'm like, okay, all right, that's set up. We're good to go. Okay, so that's just what it is.
Like, see you guys Monday, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's crazy though, to have the big old checklist, for a marathon run. I was always wondering and always curious about that. Like, how do you set yourself up for a long gaming session?
And here's the thing, Galaga's not crazy because there's what is it? Asteroids is 3 days of playing, Nibbler's 3 days of playing. This is only 14 to 15 hours, but it's still, it's not something where you can wake up and just jump on and be like, okay, I'm gonna go. I mean, it's just a whole lot more. It's just
it
crazy.
Demands your attention. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, on top of that, you got to have Advil, Tylenol. Your hand gets swollen after about 10 hours of playing, and that's why it went to where I could only play once a week. I couldn't play every single day. I had to wait till that Saturday. So, or Sunday, whatever one I chose to do. But yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy the preparations that someone needs to do just to be able to compete. I mean, these are gaming athletes, is the best way I can describe it. You got to set your body up and be ready to go. What about you, Mark? Do you have any special setup or any special checklist that you do before you get to it?
Not really, because Jordan's game was 13 million, and my highest score has been over 6 million, almost to 7. So that's probably looping the game twice. So, I mean, for me at that point, as far as planning stuff out, not really. I mean, I think now it's just a matter of scheduling a time for it, like Jordan mentioned, like playing on a weekend or having a dedicated time when you're gonna actually sit down. Because before I started getting a big score like that, I would just randomly just sit down and play. But now it's like, okay, if I know I want to actually try to go for a PB, then I know I'm going to okay, this is the time I'm going to play. This is the day I'm going to play.
Right.
And I can't have any distractions. Make sure, and like what Jordan mentioned, make sure you're hydrated. Make sure your camera's all set up. Make sure nothing stupid's going to happen while you play, and try to I almost think you need almost like a checklist of things that to a checklist of okay, make sure you wake up at a certain time, make sure you do this and this and this. And but yeah, I think it's important to have some kind of list to follow. Yeah
no, absolutely. You got to make sure you have some dedicated time, because like both of you guys, you have some really high scores, and so you already know that I can get to this score, so I know I anticipate to play for this long when I'm seriously going to make an attempt. So yeah, you got to dedicate that time. Now, real quick, we're talking about tournament and marathon stuff. A lot of people at home might not be as familiar with the technical aspects of Galaga. Some people just go and play, and they love the sprites or the chip tunes, whatever. That's pretty much all they're familiar with. Would you guys care to explain to the listeners at home what marathon means? What's the difference between marathon and tournament mode, and the differences between the two? Go ahead, take it away. Whoever wants to answer that question, go
ahead, Jordan.
Sure. So marathon is 2070 is what they call it too, and that's you get your first life at 20,000 points. You get your every single time you pass 70,000 points, you get an extra life up to 1 million. So that's 18 lives. So, and what's interesting about marathon is you start with 3 lives instead of tournament settings where you just get 5, and they're displayed right on the screen. But what is allowed is you can do you could play on marathon and only play up to 5 lives if you just want to play a marathon game. Or you can be like, okay, there's 5 lives at the bottom of the screen. I start out with them right as I start the game, and that's all I get. But my point I'm trying to make is that's how you can have a marathon and a tournament settings game all together. So when I did my world records the first time, it was both at once. So my first 5 lives was a 10 million point run, and then I continued on to do 20,900,000 points for marathon, which is gotta love.
That's pretty cool.
Wow. What was the total time on that 20 million?
Huh?
What was that total time run on that 20 million nine?
It was 14 and a half hours.
14 and a half
hours.
But I played for an hour and a half. I had a warm-up game where I restarted. So I feel like I could play for another hour and a half if I needed to. I hope I never have to again, but if I did, I know I have it in me. So.
Long game. It's a long game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's looping it 6 times. So in one game.
So what do you mean by looping for the folks at home?
Sure.
Go over how a loop works in Galaga.
So there's 255 stages. If you're on the hardest settings, there's 256 stages. There's a level 0. And basically, if you're on to level 1, and you'll go through it again, all 255 stages. So, and it takes about I want to say, what is it, Mark? An hour and 40 minutes to do, maybe 2 hours to do 255
Yeah,
stages.
that's roughly about right. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And so basically, yeah, you just looping through the game. You just go into the next 255 stages and hope you don't die.
Wow. That's insane, man.
That's crazy, right?
That is pretty crazy. Yeah, because the game. So a lot of games back in the 80s, they had like a kill screen. For those. Pac-Man, for instance, has a kill screen at 256. Galaga doesn't stop. It continuously goes on and on. Unlike Pac-Man, things like that, it does keep going. Now
Depends on the setting, though, Brian. It depends on the setting, though.
Depends on the setting. Yeah.
There's a couple.
That's gotta be on the expert mode.
Oh, there is really okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Rank A, you'll get a traditional kill screen, which is that's the easiest settings. That's the factory settings. You'll get when you get done, it'll all be flashy and
Nice.
freak out on the machine. And then rank C has a unique kill screen where you get to stage 255, and once you pass the bonus stage, your ships can move and you can fire, but you can't go to the next stage. It just sits there.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
That's rank
I
C.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Super nerdy knowledge that you'll
Hey, hey, man.
That's what we live for. That's what we live for.
That's what we're here for, man. We love all that.
That's right.
Man.
Yeah, and surely you guys, you probably have people who are wondering, like, how are you guys able to stop and like go to the bathroom, things like that, using the restroom, stuff like that. I mean, I know there's a lot of tricks involved where you're able to keep a ship at a certain spot and they won't hit you and things of that nature, I'm sure. What was it like for both of you guys as you guys were playing this game and you got to the point where you realized, I'm actually pretty good at this game. How long did it take to develop these different kinds of strategies? Because no two Galaga players play exactly the same. I know that. I've watched people play. What was it like for you guys? Like, who were some of your influences upon playing this game, and what kind of helped you guys get better as far as, just playing more often, playing more frequently, and things of that nature?
I can start if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm going to speak for Mark, too, because I feel like when Mark and I were learning the game, this was at a time, I don't know about you, Mark, but this was at a time where there wasn't a lot of footage out there of Galaga playing. I watched some footage, but it's not like today where you can go on Twitch and you can watch, Mark play or myself play, and people can get tips, or the Galaga group where they're going, oh, okay, this is what you do, this is what these guys are doing. Yeah. I didn't see a lot of that. In fact, I had a very difficult time understanding the basic fundamentals of the game. For example, I learned the game on fast fire. I had no idea that there was a normal fire where the bullets were much slower. The game was much tougher. There wasn't somebody out there explaining like, oh yeah, and you got to be on this ranking and you got to be on this type of firing. It just wasn't talked about anything that I found was very primitive. So, for me, it was like just anything I could find was a resource, and I had to dig and dig and dig for such basic information. Mark, I don't know about you, but that's how I felt when I was getting there, trying to learn the game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There wasn't always a lot of video out there for people to watch. I think almost a lot of it was just kind of like, okay, try this. It was like trial by fire. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try this and see if it works. Try this and see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna play this way. Let's see how that works. So it was kind of like doing that. And I remember before Score Wars, it was probably one of the first times Armando called me. He was like, hey, have you tried doing this? Have you tried lining up when you start the stage, have you tried doing this? Just because this is what I do, and see if this works for you. And you're right, everybody plays the game differently. I think that's the real beauty of it, is that there's so many great players, and if you were to watch somebody play, everybody has their own style to it. At the end of the day, we're all still getting big scores, but we're also able to adapt a certain style to it. Absolutely. So my gameplay is as a mix of kind of what Armando told me a couple years ago, and with me playing it over and over again, I kind of developed my own way of playing, trying to figure out what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as and you mentioned influences, I would say, from a moral standpoint, probably I think Phil Day's story, how he got, and that's one of the things that I interviewed him for Galagathon, and we go into a little bit about what he did, how he got his world record. I mean, his story is really, really amazing. So, I mean, he was an influencer. I think Tim McVeigh, him getting the 1 billion points on Nibbler after not getting the point, he set the world record on Nibbler in 1984, and then like years and years and years, like almost 25 years later, he goes back and gets it again. And I thought that was incredible. I mean, so even from a moral perspective, I would say there's been some, just watching what other people have done has motivated me a little bit, and then I would say that, just watching gameplay, trying to figure out what you're doing.
Right.
And then,
how are you dying?
That's true. Like, how are you dying? Like, what is causing you to lose your ships?
Yeah.
And I think by doing that, you're actually able to kind of pinpoint where your mistakes are, learning from your mistakes, watching your own footage, and then. And I remember the first time I think the point where I started thinking, hey, I'm really good at this. The moment I think I hit that moment was like when I first got 1 million points on MAME. I remember I was traveling to the Galloping Ghost on the weekends, and then during the week I was practicing Galaga on my computer. So I was playing five man, and I remember the first time I got 1 million, I about freaked out. I had the whole family in the office with me. I was like, I was at 900,000. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna hit 1 million points. And I think it was at that moment because I had been trying to tinker and figure out, okay, where, like I mentioned, like my strategy, trying to make my strategy come together somehow. And once that came together and I got 1 million points, and then that first time I did it, and then I was able to do it multiple times during the week, I was thinking, okay, once I get to the arcade, I think this is going to happen. I think I've really got something here, and I can replicate this. So that's what it looked like for me, at least.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. So for me, I also do play Galaga. I love it. It's my favorite.
That's right.
I play a little bit.
Right.
And it's actually funny. It's actually because of Mark and a couple other people that I met. I met Mark 2 years ago. Has it been 2 years or was it a year ago? I think it was like a year ago. It's
almost 2 years. We can say 2 years. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Better than one.
And I had the opportunity to meet Mark, and I met John Klinkle and a couple other people a couple years back. They came to Indy for Casey Ross's Arcade Fire play, which she was on our podcast about a month ago. And I got to see these guys, and Galaga was always one of those games for me that was really special to me. I love anything like, Last Starfighter, one of my favorite, movies. You haven't seen it? It's a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
I own it. I own it.
And then, yeah, right. I don't say, yeah. And then, of course, there's a book by Ernest Cline called Armada, which is also kind of like Last Starfighter. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's fantastic. He's a guy who did Ready Player One.
Yep, Ernie Cline.
And so Mark and several others kind of helped rekindle my love for this game because I hadn't played it in so many years. And for me, it was always the sound is what attracted me to Galaga. Hearing the ships coming in, the sound of of your fighter getting captured and things like that. And I didn't actually first play Galaga until I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, and they had arcades in laundromats. Remember that? You go arcades everywhere. And so I remember the one laundromat we went to had a pin bot, which is an amazing pinball.
Great machine.
And
great machine.
And then it had a Galaga next to it. So of course, I got the best of both worlds. I got pinball, a great pinball machine, and then a great arcade game. And then I hadn't played, man. I played so many off and on, and like Jordan, I also grew up in the '90s, so I have no room to talk. And there was this place called Showbiz Pizza. You might have heard of it. They
Showbiz
became
the best.
And that's where I also got to playing more Galaga there too. was that when I was a kid, and then I hadn't really touched the game. I mean, it wasn't like how Jordan would go looking for it. I really didn't go look for it. Kind of found me every once in a while. It kept finding me throughout the years, and then it wasn't until I met Mark, John, and a couple other people, and my love for the game came back. And
Good.
I got to watch these guys play. Mark, John, they're both phenomenal. They're both phenomenal players in their own right. And Mark's kind of more like that. He's got that celebrity deal going. He's got the jacket. He's got the freaking license plate. I mean, he's got a, he's like a.
You know what? If you're gonna go in,
like
go all in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. He's like that. He's like a rock star, man. He's a Galaga rock star down here.
I'd play that card too, Mark. I'd play that card too, man. I'd do it.
What do you call him, Mark?
Yeah.
What's he called? The Laporte Starfighter? Is that what they call you up there?
Yeah. So I got that. I got that name.
Wow, that's a cool ass name right there.
Yeah,
Well, I got that name from. So when I qualified for Score Wars, the guy interviewed me for the newspaper. I contacted him. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be going. Would you be interested in doing a story on me?" He's like, "Yeah, we'll do a feature. We'll do a front page story on you." And I remember I got that. Yeah, he coined the phrase the Laporte Starfighter, which I love. I think that's a really cool name that he came up with. So that's where that came from. Yeah.
That's a badass name, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I love that story. I love that story because Mark called his own shot there. I called the newspaper myself. Hey guys, do a story on me.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it.
Guys, I'm kind of a big deal. You need to talk to me.
Right? Talk to me now. Give me a cool name too.
Come on.
I love it.
He's a
That's
freaking
cool.
rock star, man. He's a Galaga rock star down there. Look at him, dude. But
That's amazing, man.
But
I
no,
can't believe
thank
they
you.
wouldn't have contacted you right away, Mark. I thought that was a huge story.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
that was a big deal, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah. Playing that tournament.
Yeah, tell us
I-
about Star Wars, man. This is your story, dude. Tell it.
Yes,
I love this story. Yeah.
Yes, Score Wars was amazing. That was the first ever Galaga World Championship. I don't know if there'll ever be another one. But as far as like a setup, as far as like a setup was concerned, wow, what an amazing place. They hosted us at a place called Meow Wolf, and it's kind of like the best way I can describe Meow Wolf is an art. It's like an art collective. I mean, you walk into the place and you pay your admission, and there's this giant house. And the house has like a little bit of a backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done is they built this. Well, basically, it's in this building. It used to be a bowling alley in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And you walk in, pay your admission, and you walk into this other room, and there's just life-sized house that you can walk in. They have all these rooms. They have like a bedroom. There's a living room. There's a kitchen, and there's all these things that you can interact with. And you open up this. The crazy thing is, you walk into the kitchen. You open up everything is accessible. You can open up doors and whatnot. You open up the refrigerator door, and you can walk through the refrigerator, and you're in this other dimension, this other world, with all these LED lights and all this crazy setting. And it's just amazing. They've created this whole art collective, this whole story type of thing. Amazing. So the story behind Meow Wolf is the owner. He was a big Galaga fan, and obviously the building used to be a bowling alley. Yeah. And the bowling alley was a Galaga. They actually had Galaga there, and nice. They said, "Hey, why don't we have a Galaga tournament? It'd be cool if we had a Galaga tournament." And they're like, "Yeah, let's make it happen." So that's how that started. And 10 of us, me, John Klinko, Armando Gonzalez, Mike Thompson, Andrew Laidlaw, John McAllister, so many great, and Tanner Russo, so many great players. We ended up playing in this tournament. And it was marathon settings for 2 days, and then the final day was tournament settings, and they treated us so well. They had a couch set up for Twitch. They actually brought in Twitch broadcasters. Oh wow! And they interviewed us, and I can't remember. Every machine had its own dedicated device for recording in case somebody got a world record. So they had this room. With all these itty bitty like recorders, and I can't remember how much they said they spent. I think it was like $5 to $10,000 on like recording equipment, and it was like,
that's insane, man.
And they created this room So they had all these Galaga machine cabinets that were set up for us, and then they brought in other machines for other people to play other games. So Tim McVeigh was there playing Nibbler. His friend Tamasaki was there. And he actually got to 1 billion points while we were there. I actually got to watch somebody get 1 billion points on Nibbler live in person, which was badass.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Which was badass. And then Abner Ashman was there playing Ms. Pac-Man. Donald Hayes played. I think he ended up getting a record on Centipede. Hector Rodriguez that did a world record while we were there on track and field. Wow. And so, I mean, all this room, it was all dark, and it was just like a classic 80s arcade that they created for us. And outside of the tournament, the way they treated us was phenomenal. They had a green room. They had tons of food for us. They put us up in the hotel. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful area. I really enjoyed Score Wars. It was just Santa Fe is awesome. If you ever get a chance to go to Santa Fe, just the environment, just all the mountains and the people there were just super friendly. Everybody treated us. They were just so welcoming and friendly. And I still talk to them. I still talk to them to this day. There's some people I still keep in touch with. So it's cool stuff. It was definitely, they pretty much set a high bar. If you're going to do a tournament, I think they set the bar really, really, really high. It's like, this is how you do it,
Right.
So yeah.
That's wonderful, man.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty memorable experience there, man.
Sounds good. It was definitely like I remember you guys grew up in the 90s. Remember that movie The Wizard where Fred Savage? And that's what I would say, that's what this was like, except this was Galaga. It was like the Wizard of that's what it was like. I mean, with all these 10 machines, all these Galaga cabinets lined up for us to play. And it was just like the movie. It felt like that's why it was like a bucket list item. I always wanted to play in a big video game tournament. and that's why it was so important for me to be a part of it. A lot of people don't know this, and I'll go ahead and share this, is as I was trying to qualify, I actually got the contact information for the people that were in charge of the tournament, and I sent them pictures of my Galaga license plate. I sent them pictures of me.
Yes.
And I said, look, I said, I really want to be a part of this event. I was practically begging. I sent, even though I qualified for the tournament with my own score. I still want to be a part of it somehow. I would have flown. I was going to fly out anyway. I even if I didn't get into the main tournament, I would have gone into the amateur. I was going to be a part of it somehow. I didn't care.
He was going to walk in with his jacket and say, right? "You know who I am? I'm the Laporte Starfighter. I'm going to be here whether you like it or not, man." All right?
Yeah. Well, it's
calling the shots. So
it was funny, there was just this, after the tournament ended, I had this flood of emotions. Like, I was in tears. Just flood of emotions hit me after it was over. It's like, you know what? I did it. I didn't care if I won, because being there in person, that was enough for me, just to be there in person with all these people. And I remember, I think his name's Chad Everett, and he's one of the guys that was in charge of the tournament and everything. And I said, you know what? I said, thank you so much for doing this. This, you have no idea what this means to me, that you guys did this, put this event together. He looked at me, he said, "Mark, we got your email. You were going to be a part of this no matter what. When we saw your email, you were going to play in this thing. We all talked about it. And even if you wouldn't have qualified with the score, you were going to be a part of it anyway." That's awesome. So, and that made me bawl, and I'm sitting here crying. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that.
That's pretty amazing, man.
It was a cool moment. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
The thing that I want to touch on too is there's a lot of arcade communities, I'm not going to name any, that tend to have a bad reputation. I know some of us know who those communities are. But the Galaga community, however, is one that I'm proud to be a part of. I know you guys are absolutely. You guys started Jordan. I think that was you that started the Galaga group, right? On the Facebook group, right? So talk about that. How you brought a lot more Galaga players out into this group, and some of the things that you do there. I love the challenges. Talk about that too. That you always have it on there, and please feel free to mention anybody in particular that you're kind of noticing is killing it and kicking some ass in Galaga, man.
Sure. So basically, right after I got my records, I was like, let's get a site dedicated to Galaga. Donkey Kong had the Donkey Kong Club. And I really thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it wasn't about competition. It was more about just the love of the game. And so I was like, yeah, we got to do something. So
Absolutely.
I started the Galaga group, and it was I jumped into it going, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're just going to try some stuff and see what happens. And one of the big ideas I had were these little mini challenges, because the thing is Galaga, everybody on the surface sees Galaga as a shooter game. You get points, end of the day, don't die. But there's so much more to the game.
Oh, yeah.
So I started doing these challenges for people, and they do two things. They help your game out. And the second thing they do is they make you go, wow, I didn't think you could do so many things with Galaga, because all it is you just fire bugs. But we had single ship Galaga was our first challenge. And, of course, Mark had to get a world record on it, which was fantastic. Best in the world for the arcade version for having just one ship, marathon settings. How far can you go? Which is, I don't know if you've ever seen single ship before, but it's nuts. It's crazy.
It is.
It's chaotic. 20
yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
That's tough.
That's when right then and there, we had 2 world records. Andrew Barrow did the main world record in that challenge too. So I was like, okay, these challenges are kind of addicting and fun, and let's we can get some world records out of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then we did a few other ones that were unique. One was a 3-bug bonus where you have to get when the bug sprouts into 3 bugs, you can get like 1,000-point bonus, 2,000-point bonus, 3,000-point bonus, and I wanted to see how many people could get in a row, which was fun. And then we had a great challenge called the Biggest Loser Challenge, and that is the lowest score you can possibly get up to stage 6. And at first glance, you're going, I'll be the best at that. Guys that aren't very good, they're going, man, this will be easy. I get a terrible score. But what you don't understand is if the bugs are sitting still, they're worth half the value. They're worth double the value if they're coming at you, point-wise. So you have to learn to flip the game around and try and do the lowest score possible. And we had a guy, Jason Strawn was his name, great Galaga player. He was able to get the lowest score, or he was like 100 points off, like the lowest score up to stage 6, which is crazy. Like, what would you need to know that?
Wow.
But
he grinded that game hard, man.
That's
fun.
crazy.
He played forever.
That's
on
amazing.
It. Yeah, it was 2 weeks long.
It's crazy,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, it's just, and then we had challenges that were just like, you have to not miss, because there's a hit miss on Galaga. So it's like, okay, you cannot miss a shot. What's the highest score you can get? And I won that challenge. And then we had like speed runs going on, and like, what's the fastest time? How fast with what was it? 3 minutes? 3 minutes. How
3
far
minutes.
can you go?
Yeah, I saw that 3 minutes.
And Mark won that one. And so it's like,
that was fun. What's
great about it is not the same person's winning every single challenge, because some people have different skills in different areas.
Absolutely.
And so, and when you win, you get a poster. You get a mini poster, and the poster has the top 5 high scores that competed. And so you can be like, look, I beat all these guys.
That's cool.
And they had all these crazy names. So Jason Strong would be like, look, I'm the biggest loser. I have the lowest score possible, which is awesome. Why not? It's great.
That's awesome, man. See,
So I gotta chime in. On
great.
the challenges. So I would say the challenges that the Galaga group. It's almost like, so remember the Karate Kid, where Daniel is learning defense in karate, so it's like wax, paint the fence, wax on, wax off, paint the fence sideways, do this and that, and then like he's like, why the hell am I doing all? He gets all pissed off, and then Mr. Miyagi tests him. That's what these challenges are. It's basically like a Galaga boot camp, because you need all of these skills to get big scores. It translates to a bigger 5-man score, tournament score. It translates to a bigger marathon score.
Yeah.
So if you can take these aspects of the challenges, then and that's another thing. And you know, that's why we've seen such bigger scores. Like you mentioned Jason, for example.
Yeah.
You know, him getting the lowest score, and then him doing, you know, everybody being a part of these challenges. Jake Goldberg's a great example.
Yeah.
You know, and then Jacob Upland. You know, all these guys. These guys are playing. They're playing the challenges, but at the same time, they're it's like sharpening a knife. It's like sharpening your skills. So that's where you're seeing, and that's not just for these big scores. That's for everybody. I think everybody that has partaken in these challenges, everybody has seen their scores go up because of it. It's a big. Right. I think that's been really, really great to see that the challenges have kind of like there's this payoff. There is a payoff to it.
Oh, absolutely. And great too is when you do these challenges, you learn so much about the game. And then we'll do a challenge for 2 weeks, and then we'll take a break for 2 weeks. So you learn, you know, you do the challenge, and then you have 2 weeks to play regular Galaga and be like, oh, okay, I learned something. You know, this is great.
Right.
This
improves your game. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm hoping to continue. Well, 100%. We're going to do another season of these challenges, and I think that we're going to come up with a few more creative ones and continue some of the favorite ones that are out there, and really hone in on getting people to learn the game, because, you know, even though Galaga Group is about, of course, celebrating Galaga, I also want to get a bunch of people learning the basics so that they can excel, because there really wasn't a community for a long time, and now we got people interested in it. Now we got people wanting to learn more about this game, and so just like Mark said, Jason Strawn, Jake Goldberg, Philip Perez, Jacob Upland. These are guys that did these challenges, learned from them, are showing all these big games now. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's just from the challenges, but these guys did a ton of these challenges, and you can just see their games going up because they're becoming or they have a better understanding of the game, if that makes sense. So we're seeing great results, and so we know
that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're pointed in the right direction. And actually, after this, after Galagathon, I'm coming out with this huge tutorial. And
nice.
I'm in the middle of filming it. It's going to be awesome. I want to reveal all the secrets to get to stage 31. And people go, oh, why stage 31? What's the big deal? Well, when you get to stage 31 in Galaga, that's the max difficulty. Yeah. So if you can pass that, if you can get to that stage, you can start to play all day long on Galaga, because you have the basics down. So this big tutorial I have coming out, I want it to be all over the place. I want everybody to be able to watch this tutorial and go, okay, now I can figure out how to get to stage 31. And at that point, you'll have tons of people coming out playing, you know, and loving the game.
No doubt.
That's the goal, at least. I hope I can figure something out for it. It's going well right now. But it's a lot more than I thought it'd be, because these tutorials, you know, on arcade games, you know, you can't really talk and play, especially with games like Galaga, because it's chaotic all the time.
Man.
The bottom line is this: I hope we can get this thing out and get some people playing.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that you guys are not trying to gatekeep the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not trying to. You're not trying to. You know, look at us. We're the best. You know, we're not going to tell anybody how to do. You know, how to be better than us, because I hate that. I'm a huge gamer. I mean, for those who know, I play a ton of games. I play current gen stuff. I love the old stuff, and I see so many toxic communities of people who just like to like to pat themselves on the back, and it's all about them, and you know, and things like that. And I hate that toxicity. And I can honestly say that in Galaga, I don't see that like at all. Like, especially with what you've created, Jordan, is a fantastic community of people, young and old, and who are enjoying this game. I mean, this game came out in the 80s, and it's still kicking today, man. And
it's still going.
You know, it's still going strong. And what you guys are doing with this group and individually is you're trying to kind of pass the torch on and keep this game alive, and that's just fantastic. And when I started seeing these challenges, like, man, okay, this is kind of nice, and I know, like, Jordan and I were talking, and he was asking me, like, okay, are you doing this to try to get better? So I love that you have that presence of, you're not this world record holder who's like, look at me, look what I've done, right? You essentially, you got it, and now you're like, okay, I did it. I did the thing. I did the thing I wanted to do. Now it's somebody else's turn, is essentially what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and I think that's how it should be, not, and I can't wait. We're, like you said, Jacob Upland, great player. Lots of other great players on that on the group, on the Facebook group, which I will put a link in the description below here on YouTube, so you guys can see and guys can go join that group, because I'm sure there's a ton of Galaga players out there that don't know that they have a home they can go to,
That's right.
and be able to do that and join this community. One thing I want to touch on real quick is, we're talking about Galaga, the arcade machine. Let's talk about Galaga and other forms of Galaga. Now, I'm a huge fan of this game, but not just the arcade machine. I find myself trying to buy Galaga on anything that I own. I have it on. Let's say I have it on Nintendo Switch. I have it on Xbox. I have it on Xbox twice. I have the Xbox One version. I have the 360 arcade version.
Yep.
And then the local arcade I go to, they don't have. It sucks because the local arcade I go to, they don't have the standard arcade machine. They've got that ginormous, like, world's largest Galaga machine that has the Pac-Man.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I played on that.
That is not pleasant on the eyes whatsoever.
No,
it's just so much stuff going on, man.
It's laggy.
Have you guys found yourselves trying to, because they're all different. Like, we got MAME, on the PC. You've got handheld versions, video game console version. Have you guys tried to play on other versions to try to see if your skill sets translate to other variants?
Yeah, and adding on that, is there any differences in gameplay between them?
Oh, sure. First of all, I'm certain that and you can help me out with this, Mark. The Switch and the Xbox 360 is an exact match for the Galaga game. It plays just like the arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
But like the NES, there's a Game Boy version. There are all these knockoff versions of Galaga that are like they do not have the same setup. Oh, the little guys, the little, what are those called? The little tiny mini arcades. They also have the NES, which is not the original, and so it plays differently. And it's fun, but I've already figured out one game. I'm not about to go figure out another game. Galaga, spent 6 months figuring out, the NES version. But Mark, I don't know if you played a few of the other ports or not.
Yeah, I've played the NES version, and it's a lot more difficult because what I found with the other, and like you mentioned Game Boy, and you mentioned a couple other versions, those versions there's no pattern to it. Galaga, like, there's no pattern to it, so the way the bullets come at you are much more. They're not they're completely random, so you can't really follow what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are probably the most challenging. But I think if I didn't have my cabinet, I would probably spend more time on MAME. I probably would. I mean, I have Wolfman installed on my computer.
Yeah, same. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I do play. I play one of the game I played recently. I played Pac-Man Arrangement. That's a great game. It's a crazy version of Pac-Man. That the power-ups are a little bit different. So I've really gotten into that. So I mean, I do play other games. Other outside of Galaga. I actually have a Mappy cabinet, and I have a Wizard of War cabinet in my house. So the Mappy, the Mappy is in great. Yeah, the Mappy is in great condition. I got from a coworker, and I got it broken, and all it needed was a new power supply. So I went online, bought one, and fixed it. The Wizard of War took a lot more work, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fix it or not, but I fixed it. And
awesome.
that machine was completely dead when I got it. I got it for free. Somebody just didn't want it. And that needed a power supply. It needed cleaning. There's a lot of work that went into that. So I actually play a couple other games too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, as far as console games, I don't really play. Gosh, I've been playing a lot of Atari stuff lately. I've been really digging the Atari, the classic collection. I actually own Volume 1 and Volume 2. So I've been playing the Atari bowling with my kids. They like playing that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've been playing a ton of Howard Scott Warshaw's game, Yar's Revenge. I love Yar's Revenge.
Oh,
so
that's
much.
such a great game. Oh man, I didn't put that.
That's such a great game.
That is a fantastic game.
And I interviewed him for Galagathon, and Howard's just, I could talk to that man for hours. He's just a brilliant man. So I've been playing, so Yar's Revenge, been playing that. And God, what else have I been playing? A lot of Atari. I've been really going back to my roots here and playing Atari stuff. I love the class. I love the the sounds that come out of it, and been playing a ton of it. So
yeah,
I've been playing a lot of Galaxian lately.
Galaxian, yeah,
really, yeah.
I like Galaxian a lot. I tell people it's a lot more like a submarine shooting torpedoes than a ship shooting bullets. But it's fantastic. I got it's like 25K right now. Game as my best score on there. Playing a lot of Donkey Kong. I'm hitting about 220K on average right now. So I'm hoping to put that score up. This week alone, I hit 200K 3 times. So
that's awesome.
Donkey Kong Jr., I have a 300,000 point game. Another big one would be, let's see, I have a few other big scores. Well, Popeye is like 125K. And Donkey Kong 3, I just got to 180K. So these are games that I couldn't get access to that now that I have Wolf Mame, I've been playing the last couple of weeks and just kind of learning and understanding.
Yeah.
Crazy Climber. I got like 100,000 points.
That's a great game. Crazy Climber is awesome.
Oh man.
I've been getting into Gorf. That's a great one.
Oh,
I love Gorf. I love it.
So Gorf and the Wizard,
That's a good one.
It's the same. It's the boards. The boards and the sounds are the same. And what's funny? What's funny? It's really well. You could take my. If I ever wanted to, I could take the boards out of my machine and put in the Gorf ones, and my machine would play Gorf.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Just hot swap it.
That's crazy. So what is it about these retro games, arcade games, that seems to call the people's attention? And I mean, there's obviously the console wars and all that stuff going on for the more modern stuff, but I always felt that the community for the retro gaming was more tight knit, more closer together, more open to discuss gaming with each other, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
So what do you think it is about that old type of game that just seems to bring people to discuss openly about the game?
Simplicity.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that if you get a game over, that is where you have to restart every time. In fact, I've told people a little bit about this. Growing up, I had this crazy, I don't know what you call it, just addiction to if I would play Final Fantasy and I get a game over, I would not continue. I would restart the game instead. I just love the fact that and I did that with Zelda. I did that with a lot of games out there where I was like, I can't continue on because I got a game over. And I didn't think for a long time it would be a big deal. And then all of a sudden I'm hitting this arcade scene and I'm going, oh yeah, okay, I was here the whole time. I just didn't realize it. I would restart all these crazy games, and every time I got a game over, because I just I want to have it done perfect and not like, I got 50 game overs. I got through the game. It was great. I wanted to experience it, at the top level. But unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of endings to games growing up. So I would just be like, no, I got to start over. So,
you don't get save states in Galaga, man. You gotta. This is your shot. You guys
power through.
Yep. You drop the quarters in that machine. This is what you got, man. I think that's what makes to answer your question, but I think that's what makes the arcades a lot more exciting and a memorable experience, because with a standard traditional modernized video game, one. I don't want to say you're not spending money on each game. Nowadays, there are barcades that don't require you to pay money. You just go in and buy a drink and you can play as much as you want. What's really weird in here in Southern Indiana, I'm right across the river from Louisville. There are no barcades there that are free. You have to go in. You actually have to pay you have to use tokens. It's kind of interesting. So they still have that aspect of, okay, you're basically betting on yourself to put up a good score. That's essentially what dropping a quarter in a machine is. You're basically betting on yourself to put up a good score. And I think that's what makes, to me, arcades more of a memorable experience, is because you're essentially risking money to put up a score and be good and prove to yourself and other people. I know for me, it was all about putting my initials on the score, man. Like that was it. I wanted everybody to see how good I was.
Like that's me right there, right?
That's me right there, right? And
that was my quarter.
That was my quarter, yeah, dude. And
Love it.
and the thing is too, like Jordan said, it's game over, and then you don't get a save state. You don't get to reload. You know what I mean, or respawn, if you will, and go back to where you ended. That for me, like even today, like there's been barcades I go to where you can just you can continue. Some Galaga machines let you continue, which is really weird. I think that's kind of odd that you can continue from when you die. I never do that. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like I let it go.
There's a
Start
chip
over.
that involved that ROM chips. Where you could do you know what year they came out, Mark? I have no idea. It was like 80.
Like ROM chips.
The ones where you can do the slow fire, fast fire. It counts down, saying you can continue.
Oh God, I don't.
That was a late 80s thing, right?
Yeah, that was like as far as continuing in games, I think that happened. The first game I ever saw do that was Ninja Turtles. That was made by Konami, the Konami Ninja Turtles at the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first game and that was probably 1989, 1990. That's probably because I remember being at a campground. I remember seeing that game. So that was up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would go to the arcade at the bowling alley or something, and they used to have games like Double Dragon. Double Dragon was a big one.
Yeah.
They used to have Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon.
Double Dragon and
Mortal Kombat. Continue on that.
Mortal Kombat. I remember seeing there was this wrestling game called it was called The Main Event. I think that was also made by Konami. It's a wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Main Event. Yeah, so it was like a 4-player game. And actually it was kind of crazy because they had all the wrestling games. They had The Main Event. There's a game called, I can't remember the company. It was called Wrestle War. I love Wrestle War. Was a great game. But as far as like a countdown, I remember seeing that like as we got into the 90s, and I think what happened was arcade operators were trying to get more money out of people.
Coins. Yeah.
Yeah, but Victor, going back to answer your question, I think what's made these arcade games, it's a call to a different era of our lives. That's what's really, I think at the end of the day for me, it's a call back to your childhood of, for me being so young and, hanging out in these areas. And I think there's something about that. We're all trying to find this simple time of our lives, childhood, or when you're a teenager, when you're growing up. That's when I go to an arcade, like for example, like Galaga Ghost Arcade, or if I go to an arcade in South Bend somewhere or whatnot, I always feel like when I'm playing these games, I'm transported. You're always looking. It's like you're being transported into this other time, and I think that's what's made these games like Galaga stay the test of time, and for 4 years, because everybody's looking to go back to something simpler. Galaga is left and right and fire. At the end of the day, it's left and right, shoot bugs, fire, and I put my quarter in. And there's something to be said about how simple that is, and that's why it's lasted so long. Yeah, that's why games like Donkey Kong have lasted so long. Pac-Man, that's why they've lasted so long. So I think that's the draw. I think that's what draws everybody in, is we're all trying to find the simpler period of time in your life. And it's always nice when you I can't talk. It's always nice when you have like these as you go through life and you go through these, you grow up and you have to do more adulting and you have to do more things. Yeah. It's always nice to like, hey, let's go to the arcade, or like, it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to go to miniature golf. I'm going to go play miniature golf, something like something that was so simple. They kind of brings you back and takes you away from kind of reality for a bit. And I think that's that's the big draw with with the retro scene, with all of it. It's just trying to get back to some of that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And it was great because I know that Jordan had made mention trying to be dad. That's how it started off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me back too, going back to my childhood. Chuck E. Cheese is where I first saw Galaga back in the day, and it was sitting right next to a Centipede and a Pac-Man arcade. My dad hit Pac-Man all the time because he took there forever. I would jump on the Galaga one right next to it, and that's how I started playing the game. Yeah. So there's truth to that. It takes you back to a simpler time, and it always brings that nostalgia factor with it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why they've lasted so long. Because I mean, like, if you look at today's games, like, like there's a couple franchises like a console, like Halo has its fan base, but a lot of times you just don't see that longevity. You don't see that longevity with games that are released today. It's you don't see it. You don't see it.
Right.
I mean, are we still talking? Some of these games that were released for PlayStation, like, are we still talking about? Will we still be talking about them 30 years from now? I doubt it. But I think with Galaga, I think we're still going to. I mean, and that's the conversations that Jordan and I have had before is trying to find ways to make the games fresh and to get more people into them. How do you? And I think that's like the biggest challenge right now is how do we move the games forward? How do we get more people playing? Galaga Group with the challenges has done that, but how do we take one step further? And I think doing the training that he's going to be doing is going to help out.
Yeah.
And I think just trying to find new ways of playing the game to get people involved in it. And that goes for like Donkey Kong, and not just Galaga, but Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. How do you make these games unique?
Fresh.
How do you bring it fresh and exactly. How do you bring a new generation into playing these games? I think that's incredibly important. And I think the games are so simplistic, and it like I mentioned, it is a calling back to being younger. I think these games are going to last long before, and I could see these 30. Obviously Galaga's been around for 39 years. Next year is its 40th anniversary. I could honestly see it lasting another 40 years. I mean, why not? I mean, as long as people keep playing it, keep discovering it, and keep advancing the scores that we've seen, you'll always have that. You'll have that community and that environment where people are going to want to latch onto that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, especially since there was a period of time where arcades had a bit of a lull to them. There wasn't really a big arcade scene. We didn't have barcades like we do now, which I think has just really revolutionized the arcade industry because, who would have thought having beer and drinks and arcade machines in the same room would be a great thing. And because of that, we're seeing arcades come back. I know, like, I'm from Indianapolis, and I remember when all the arcades died out, and it was just that you miss that, and that's what sucks about console gaming is you're not playing in the same room with people. You're not having a line of people behind you watching you play and ready to drop their quarter or putting their quarter up on the machine and saying, "Hey, I got next after you." Right? It's not the same, and I miss that interactivity with gaming, and that's what arcades brought to the table was. You've got a mix of so many different genres of games and people who enjoy those genres of games coming together and discovering everybody else's passion for what they love. Like we have Louisville Arcade Expo in March here every year, and I love that because you get to go in. They dim the lights, so you get that retro feel.
That arcade
go in. Yeah. And you get a mix of pinball. There's tons of pinball machines there. There's tons of arcade machines there. And I love seeing the kids that are like, 5, 6, 7, 8, with their parents coming in and their moms and dads showing them what they grew up playing, right? So, I mean, I'm sure no doubt the two of you, all of you that have children have been introducing your kids to video games and what you grew up on and things like that. And you want to pass the torch on to them as well, right? So, I mean, yeah, I don't see Galaga going away. I don't see these arcade machines going away, man. They're not going to go as long as we have something to say about it. We're not going to let them. We're not going to let them get lost. Because the beautiful part about an arcade game is it's the simplicity. Because so many modern games are complex. You got to level up. You got to go do this thing. Go do that.
Got to go grind and all that good stuff.
It's just like Mark said. It's left, right, and a fire button. That's all I need, man. It keeps me happy. It's relaxing for the most part. So let's go before we close the show. Let's talk about Galagathon. You guys got a charity event going on next. Starting today, going on this week. And go ahead and get into that. Let's talk about that. This is the second year you guys are doing Galagathon. And I'll let Mark take it away on this one, man. Tell us all about Galagathon, what your guys' goal is, the mission, and just go ahead and have at it, man.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, this is the second year of doing Galagathon. So the idea for doing any type of Galagathon or any type of event stems from I over the years I've watched this. I know you guys have heard of it. There's this group of guys in Indianapolis. It's called Mario Marathon, and they do it every single year. They play they raise money for Child's Play charity, and they've raised over they do it like almost every year, sometimes every other 2 years, and they did one this year, and total for 10 years they've raised over $600,000 for which is ridiculous. So I thought, man, I want to do something like that too. But how can I do that? And like, I want to do that, hang out with my friends, and hang out with people and play Galaga. So that's how this whole Galagathon. That's how the idea came in my head. It's like I want to do something similar to that. Maybe not, And so that's where I got the idea of doing this with Extra Live. I mean, Brian, you kind of led me in the right direction with some of that stuff. But last year we raised $1,100, and this year I planned on doing another event in person, but it just wasn't feasible with the pandemic in place. It just wasn't feasible to do. This wasn't feasible. Hold on a second. My son's in the background. It just wasn't feasible to do something like that. So what we're doing now is I'm going to be playing for probably every night, every evening, kind of like back in the day when I would get home from work and play. It's kind of like a call to that, I would say.
Back.
Yeah, so I'll be playing from Central Time, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. and streaming on Twitch. And I've done these. I thought, what can I add to the event this year? Last year it was just me playing for a month, and then we had an event. So I thought, man, I'd like to do something different this year. What about doing some interviews with people and just hanging out? We're all in this pandemic. We're all having this issue of being disconnected from everyone. Yeah. And I want to connect. And I've been working from home. I sit at my kitchen table, look out the window, and I don't really get to talk to people. I'm like, okay.
He's I miss it so much.
Right? Yeah. Are you doing this thing to the window?
It's it's like we're in the
I think we're all there though. We're all there.
Dude, man.
My window's right here, so I stare out looking at birds.
So I miss the interaction. I miss a lot of the interaction with people.
Yeah.
And so I thought, why don't I just interview some people? Why don't I try to get a hold of as many people as possible and just interview them, and just there's no agenda. We'll just hang out. We'll talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about. We'll talk about Galaga, whatnot. We'll just hang out. So I've got 9 interviews lined up, and I'm going to be talking to. So I've already talked to Tim McVeigh, Howard Scott Warshaw, which, by the way, again, the guy was incredible to talk to. I mean, I got to talk to that man for hours. For those who don't know who Howard Scott Warshaw is, he did Yard's Revenge, Rares of the Lost Ark, and E.T. for the Atari 2600, and I got to talk to him for a little bit. So that was another bucket list. You can check that one off. That was really cool. So that was cool to talk to him, and I really want to get Nolan Bushnell, but maybe next year if we do this again. I want to get Nolan Bushnell on. I actually I have his contact information. Nolan, if you're watching this, come on, let's do this.
Right? Yeah, right?
Yeah. So Nolan, so I got obviously I interviewed Jordan. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We got to have the world record holder.
Yeah, he's coming.
Armando Gonzalez, kind of a big deal.
That would be good.
I did Armando Gonzalez. Yeah. Talked to Joseph Pisticelli. I talked to Andy Palmer. Andy Palmer is the owner of Arcade Club in the United Kingdom. I've actually been out to their arcade, and it's up by Manchester. So I went to their location in Killscreen, their Galaga, when I was in the UK, and
that's awesome.
I got to meet him. They have an incredible arcade. I would say it's like the Galloping Ghost of the UK. He's got a great place. So I interviewed him. Gosh, who else have I talked to? There's like 9 people. I have a list. Phil Day. Yep, talked to Phil Day. Yeah. Obviously talked to him.
Andrew Barrett.
Andrew Barrow. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about. Yeah, so I talked
There you
about
go.
8 or 9 different people,
Nice.
and I just the interviews are going to be playing. So the goal is I'm going to be playing Galaga, and then on the screen you'll hear every night there's going to be a different interview, and you're only going to be able. I'm not posting these interviews on YouTube or anywhere else. If you want to watch the interviews of who the people I talk to, you have to come to Galagathon. You have to tune in and you have to watch. So
Awesome.
every night I'll have a different interview. On the weekends, I'm thinking about showing all the other interviews like as a compilation on a Saturday or a Sunday. I may just show all the I don't, if in case anybody missed them, I'll play them back to back on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then so the interviews and then me playing, and then we're having this tournament as well. And through you know and through Galaga group we'll have, you know, people can come and play, and then we'll have, and then the top 8 scores, it's a versus type of thing over in Galaga group as well.
Yep.
So
nice.
So I
just
mean,
want to add something real quick, Mark. One of the things about this tournament is there will be 3 people allowed to qualify that stream the longest. So we have one of the things is the highest score. There'll be 3 people have top 3 scores. We have 3 people that can do the best hit miss up to stage 10. So 3 people qualify for that. But we really wanted to focus on getting other people involved that, you know, maybe just love the game. So we have these 3 spots open, and for a week, whoever streams the longest will get those spots. And that's just kind of like anybody you know can get in. And
challenge
really
accepted.
Cool. Right. Exactly. So what's great is then you get into this bracket where, you know, you might not, obviously, you know, if you don't have the biggest best score of all time, you're gonna probably not win it, but at least you get to be a part of it, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And there'll be 3 people allowed to do that. Awesome. And another unique thing is you can't like have the biggest score with the best hit miss and the longest stream. So it gives others an opportunity to take those spots and be a part of it, which is fantastic.
Great. So how do we be a part of this, Mark? How do we go ahead and participate in Galagathon?
Yeah, so my Twitch channel, it's MarkSC4585 is my Twitch handle. You can go there, and we're also at if you want to donate, so you can donate on the Twitch channel. You can donate from there. I actually have like a little link set up for that. You can also go to tinyurl.com/Galagathon, and I'll go ahead and link that and put that in the chat for you guys too. And as of this recording, it's unbelievable. We're at $580, and this thing hasn't even started yet. And at this point last year, we were probably at 200, and we're already like leaps and bounds ahead, and nothing has started yet. So I mean, and back to the charity portion of it as well. I mean, you know, with the pandemic and, you know, in full effect here with COVID-19. And, you know, there's been a lot of focus on, you know, obviously the elderly, and there's been a lot of focus on, you know, middle-aged people getting this. The people we can't forget about in all this is we can't forget about kids, because, you know, the surgeries still happen. People still need to have surgeries. Kids still have traumas that they have to go to. And what I love about and this is all this money that we're raising goes to Riley's. And I think what really makes Riley does so much for families and for kids. And I think what really makes them stand out is they're the premier place in Indiana. If your kid is sick, my kids have never been sick, but I know if my kids were sick, we're in dire help. I would turn to them for help. You know, they're the only one of the few places that do stem cell. They do stem cell procedures. In Indiana. They see their trauma center sees over 30,000 kids every single year. They're just doing so much. So the money that we raise is going to help these kids and advance research for the pediatricians to do the research that they need to do to help these kids out. The money's going to be there's other things that the money's going to go towards giving when your kid is there, you know, kind of your focus should be on your children. That's where this money is going to go, to make sure that the focus stays on kids. So
and just
Riley does an amazing job.
This is Riley's Hospital for Children, correct?
Yeah, Riley's Hospital for Children in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they just do an amazing job. And I think this money that we're raising, it's needed more than ever. I mean, with elective surgeries that are canceled, we got to find ways to keep finding treatments for kids to kind of make sure that they're taken care of, and more importantly, that there's a support system for the parents that are in place, and for the nurses, everyone that's that's in that facility has what they need to get the kids healthy again, or as healthy as they can be, and provide some kind of great quality of life. So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this for children. So I mean, we're gonna at the end of the day, we're trying to have fun, have interviews, but at the end of the day, it's for making kids healthy again, trying to do what we can to kind of provide some kind of quality of life for those that are struggling right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Charities.
Kids gotta do it for the kids.
Yeah, charity's always been important to me too. I did Extra Life when I was in Indy for about 3 years, and we also did for Riley. Riley's fantastic. I've been there a couple times, seen those kids, man, and when you hear these kids' stories, it breaks your heart. But
it does,
and it also makes you feel good though that you're able to take something that you love and you're passionate about, such as playing Galaga, and use it for a good cause to help these kids out.
Yeah,
there's always a kid in need, man, and especially right now with this pandemic going on, God knows how long this is going to last.
Right.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not long. But man, the outlook's not looking promising. Let's put it that way. But like you said, Mark, there's still kid. Life didn't just pause. Like for everything.
Yeah.
There's kids that are still out there who are sick. Some are maybe, might be terminal, bless their hearts, on that aspect. You got kids like that out there, and they still need treatment. And considering almost all these kids are immunocompromised with this pandemic, that's definitely makes it even worse for them. So we're definitely glad that, Mark, you guys are doing this charity. I look forward. I'm going to actually, I'm going to participate myself too. I'm going to take a day, maybe a couple days. During the day.
Thank you so much.
I'll stream, and I'll put my link. I'll have my bot set up to do it. Now, do we just have one donation link for everybody to donate to, or you have an individual people have their own?
Yeah.
Link?
So for Extra Life, I've been telling her. I mean, I have a team, so I've been linking it all to my donation page. But if you want to do your own thing, you're more than welcome to do that. So I mean, it's all at the end of the day, it'll all be cumulative anyway. So. Sure. I mean, sure.
And we'll have these links in our description, right, Brian?
We will have them. Yeah, I'll have you guys. Mark. I'll have you shoot me all these links, and I'll put them in the description below here, because there might be people who want to participate. And look, even if you've never played Galaga, it might actually be more entertaining that way. If you never played Galaga, do it for a while.
Oh,
do
great.
Yeah,
that's what's so great.
I would love to see people who don't really play this game.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
Me too. I would love.
What I mean? I'd love to see that. We might end up discovering some more players out there during this week too.
Hidden talent, you never know. Maybe you got a hidden talent for this,
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Now, Jordan, I know you're doing these challenges on the Facebook group. Do you plan on maybe during the week doing a few special challenges during this Galagathon for people? Not just trying to qualify for the tournament, of course, but just kind of throwing some the bugs challenge and all that stuff, kind of doing some special stuff for the week.
Here's what's cool about it is if you've done these challenges, then you know how they work, and you can, like Mark, for example, might do one of the challenges just for a night when he's bored and doesn't want to do marathon or doesn't want to do the 5-man. So, and you know what I mean? Like,
when he's bored,
he run for a little bit, or he wants to do something, a single shift, of course. So that's what's great is I don't have anything set up for people, but everybody knows that you can
make your own challenge, right?
Do that yourself if you want to, instead of sitting there for 3 or 4 hours trying to play for marathon. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's something. And then I'm gonna just be streaming throughout the week as well, and just have support for everybody else.
Absolutely.
And we encourage people to stream, even if, like, let's say that we understand there's a pandemic going on. Maybe people don't have a lot of money. If they can't donate, just jump on and stream for a little bit, and that shows support. Just show up for the interviews. But we'd love to see, like you said, I'd love to see some people that aren't always playing Galaga jump into a tournament, because I think that shows a lot. I'll give you an example. I went to the Chicago area. It was around that area where they did a little miniature Donkey Kong tournament, and this was like 6 months ago. And obviously, I'm not known for Donkey Kong, but I was like, I'm going to go there and play. I don't care if people see me get a little score, because it's about going out and playing in the first place, and that gets people's attention. Like, oh, Jordan was at that. That's crazy. I didn't even know he played. So this is a way to let people know, like, hey, I love Galaga, or hey, you know, I'm here to compete, and I know I'm not the best, but I want to show off my skills. I love that. I think that's awesome. So
yeah,
to have fun, to have a little support. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
This is a great opportunity for people who want to challenge themselves. I know I haven't played Galaga in a minute. I tend to. I have so much stuff happen in life. Sometimes I kind of like, you know, I got to put Galaga on the shelf for a little bit. But
yeah. Most arcade games are like that.
You know, I'll get some Galaga runs in. Absolutely, man. And this is a great.
I think I'm gonna put some up too. I think I'm gonna jump on.
Let's go, Vince. I'd love to see you do it. Let's do it, man.
There you go.
The tournament allows. You don't have to have an arcade machine. You can have made. You can have the if you have the 1-Up arcade machine, we'll throw that in there. You know what I mean? If you the Xbox version, the Switch version, they're all allowed in this tournament as long as you can get on and play. So
absolutely. Yeah, man, I can't wait to see what comes through with this. And when's the last day for Galagathon, Mark? When's the last day for people?
The last day I'm going to play is probably I think it's the 21st or the 20th. I think it's one of those days. And then the tournament is the last 2 days of the event is going to be the tournament. That's why I'm going to hand it over to Jacob and Jordan. The Galaga group's going to take it from there as far as the ending of the event is concerned, and they'll be doing the tournament. So I may do some commentary, jump in and do some commentary and talk and hang out. But nice. It's gonna. I think this is gonna be I'm glad to be doing this again. I didn't know if it was going to be possible. Yeah. And like I mentioned, the interviews were therapeutic because it was nice to talk to so many people that I haven't talked to before or I haven't talked to in a long time. Yep. And it was nice to just hang out and just talk, just do what we're doing right here. So
well, hopefully you guys can do this, make this an annual thing. Let's just do this every year. Like, you know, hopefully we'll be able to do this in person.
To do it in person
next year.
Right.
You know, because I know it can be a little bit challenging with virtual everything. I know we Victor and I talked about we did our podcast during a virtual PopCon a few weeks back. That was challenges with that, you know. But at least we all have the ability to come together in some way, whether it be virtually or face to face, whatever, and hang out and stuff and share our passion for things. Now, would you guys recommend that the Facebook group be the best source for all the information, like going on for this week?
Yeah.
For Galagathon? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, we'll have all the links in the description below. I wanted to ask Jordan this one question, though. I had this. This is something I've been thinking about. Thought about this for a week. So you know how there's always that peaceful transfer of power, you know, like in the political sense. So Jordan, when you got the record, was it like, okay, I got to get my red phone, I got to call Armando, and be like, hey man, I did it. Like what? Like how did that stream? Like so he was watching you play. I take
he was watching.
How did that? What was that like for you, man? When you
how's that interaction? Yeah.
Like where were you at in the game when you're like, oh my god, I'm there. I'm almost there. Like what was that like for you, man? Walk us through that. Talk us through that.
Honestly, at that moment when people were congratulating me, I was numb. I had been playing for 14 hours. I was like, hey, this is great. The next day I was like, wow, it hit pretty hard. I was like, man, great game. I had 2 world records. I did the longest run without losing a life, which is like
that's amazing.
Million, and it's like 5 hours of playing without losing a life. And then there was a lot more things that had happened. I think I'd gotten the furthest stage, but I never got the furthest score in Galaga because Armando has a fast fire score that's just beyond that. And I think there's a few other fast fire scores from a few other players. But as far as like traditional way to play, it was the furthest stage ever gotten in Galaga. So, it was a lot. It was overwhelming. It was all that happened at once, and I can look back now and be like, yeah, it was incredible. But the moment I got in it, I didn't know what was going on because I'd played for so long. I was just sitting there. I just sitting there just rambling on about, like, oh, this is crazy, this is amazing. And I had this adrenaline rush during that game. After I did the 5-man record, the next 3 to 4 million points, I don't even remember. And then it got really close again as I was trying to get to the end. But yeah, no, Armando congratulated me. Mike Thompson congratulated me. I'm ready and willing to congratulate the next person that is trying to venture onto this quest to get that score. And actually, I want to add something real quick. We're going to talk about this in Galagathon, but there's going to be a new way to play Galaga that I think a lot of people are going to love because it's going to be called Kill Screen Galaga. We're not going to have the 15 hours of trying to sit there and play. It becomes a 2-hour game then. And it becomes leeching points. And what's great about that is people, they don't have to spend their whole life trying to play on the weekends when they can, play a few hours and go, wow, that was great. I'm going to go do something else now with my life. So, we're hoping to push that and make that a big deal.
Try to be more inclusive for the community, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah.
Man. Yeah.
It goes back to what I was talking about, moving the game forward. Moving the game forward.
I want to pass that baton on. I think it's funny because there's people that are going, Jordan, why would you give secrets out? Why would you tell everybody, how to get there and support them? And I know with this tutorial, I'm setting it up for me to pass that baton someday.
That's fantastic.
To the next person, but I love that. I think it's great. I want to shake the next person's hand.
Hold on. One more question for Jordan.
Yeah.
We know Mark has a cool nickname. You got one? Anyone's giving you a nickname?
Yeah, what's your cool nickname, Jordan? Come on, man.
Because if you don't, I got one for you.
JD Galaga is what a lot of people call me JD because of Twitch. That's how they watch me. So.
All right. After this tutorial drops, we're going to call you Mr. Miyagi.
Yes,
that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah. He's the Galaga Miyagi.
There you go, man. Passing down the secrets, making sure everyone's cool.
Everybody.
There you go, man.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean,
he could be Splinter. He could be Splinter from the Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Like the Galaga Splinter.
Yeah.
There you go. See?
That's what's so crazy about it is I know that I'm setting myself up to have somebody beat me, and it's like, in the back of my head, I'm going, man, I love it. I love being number one. Do I really want to do that? But yeah, why not? Why not have other people experience this? Because it's great. I love it. It's been
it's fun to have a world record.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what? No one can take that away from you. Even if someone does come back, you'll have it for that moment in time.
That's right.
Yours,
That's the thing. Like, that's the thing.
That's
all these accomplishments. Yeah, all these accomplishments, and that's why I keep telling myself, I would love for someone to beat my single ship world record. Like, please do it, because I mean, these records that people get, like everything that I accomplished, I played in the first ever Galaga World Championship. That no one can ever say that can match that. I played in the Galaga Championship. I've had a world record. I've done all these. I've gotten to do a lot of cool things because of Galaga.
Yeah,
like it's okay. I mean,
that's amazing.
It's okay at the end of the day. Like, who cares? I mean, it's moving the game now. It's I think Jordan and I are at a point, and a lot of others are at a point where, like, okay, these, and it goes back to you saying, putting a cap on the game at rank C and putting a kill screen in.
Yeah.
Like, it's about, this is a great way to move the game forward. It becomes more like a point press Donkey Kong game, and kind of moving things forward. And all the accomplishments that we've done, nobody can ever take that stuff away from us. We've done it, we've lived it, and we support new people that play. The way I've always looked at it is Galaga's not a one versus one person. It's you versus the machine. I think I've said that over and over again. It's you versus the machine. How hard can you take the machine? How far can you take it? I've never looked at it as like I'm going to beat this person. Like, I'm not fighting anybody. I'm not fighting anybody, man. I'm just playing a game.
I never
love it. No, that's a great way to see it, man. That's a great way to see it.
Yeah, I don't do the machine. When I started getting back into it, I've been kind of climbing, and I don't go on there. I'm like, okay, who's the next guy? I got to take this guy. I don't do that, man. It's me versus myself. I'm challenging myself. That's all it is to
exactly.
It. I mean, it's and I'm sure a lot of people, man, like when they see a score of like 20 million, I'm like, man, that's a big number. And I know that can be pretty intimidating, but it's not impossible. You did it. I'm sure there's somebody else out there in the world that can.
Oh yeah, and I'll point this out. Jake Goldberg, he saw my interviews, and this was last February, and he was like, I want to pursue this, and he just did 4 million points, over 4 million points, 5-man. So for people that are thinking, yeah, man, I could never get to 20 million, it doesn't take long to learn the game, pick it up, and start to get these big runs going. And you're going, oh, okay, maybe it is a possibility. It becomes more realistic as you play. But he's a great example of learning the game quickly, understanding it, and being able to have and reach at least the 6 million points on 5 lives. Because to me, if you can get 6 million points on 5 lives, which we call the 6 million point club, you're doing that. You've mastered the game. I mean, there's no question about it. 6 million points on 5 lives. That's about a 4 to 5 hour game. I mean, it's at that point you've got it down. So if you can't get to the 10 million point on 5-man or the 20 million point on marathon, getting to 6 million points on 5 lives is a sign you've mastered the game anyway, and you really don't have to pursue it after that if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have today for this episode. Thank you guys so much for coming on, Jordan and Mark. We really appreciate you guys coming on here and talking about.
Thank you. It was fun.
Love for arcades
us.
and Galaga and things like that. For those watching this on YouTube, all the links below. You guys can go and join the Galaga group on Facebook. You guys can do your own stream on Twitch and help raise some money for Galagathon as well. Highly recommend doing that. You don't have to be a 20 million point player like Jordan down here to get in this in this Galagathon. But if you just want to donate, you can also do that. We'll have a link for that as well. We'll have those links for you guys to donate. And if you're looking for a community to be a part of and you're a gamer, please, the Galaga community is amazing. It's all inclusive. Everybody's welcome, young or old. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It's a very inclusive community. Oh, yeah. We're looking for more people, so come on over. And
open invitation, guys. Open.
We gotta find someone to kick these guys' butt, man. We gotta bring you guys in here.
Please do.
Come on, do it.
That's right. Send them our way.
Do it. All right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend. And until next time, see you guys.
Later.
Bye.